Welcome to the Coaches Preview Show. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. Two special guests here today, Coach Matt Kriesky, Centennial High School, Coach Donnie, Webb, Franklin High School. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tonight's game, obviously a big one. Battle of Franklin, huge rivalry game that the teams and the fan bases obviously will be fired up for no matter what. But also because of the playoff implication, it does make it maybe even bigger game. Gentlemen, we were talking about this before we came on. Now, obviously, the season's not over after this game, and both of you still have Brentwood, right, Coach?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Coach
sir.
Webb, you have Dixon County and Brentwood. But outside looking in, this is probably the one in terms of making the playoffs. Am I correct on that assessment, Coach Kriesky?
Yes, sir, you are correct.
Coach Webb?
Yes, but we just need a district win. We don't even have one yet. So, yes, sir. Or region win, excuse me.
Coach Kriesky, your team's playing well, 3-3 overall, 1-2 in the league, and maybe, not that it was internal, but maybe, the quote-unquote experts, whoever those people are, would say, man, we're surprised that Centennial's 3-3 at this point. But I remember in media day, and maybe it was coach speak, maybe you're trying to pump your guys up. I remember you saying, not many people probably believe in us this year, but I like this team. I like these seniors. I've been with them the whole time. This is really your first group all the way through, right, Coach?
Yes, sir. Man, this senior's been great. I'll be honest with you, we've had a lot of injuries with the senior class this year. They fought through it. They've continued to come to practice, continue to work hard each day. I feel like the past 3 games, we've gotten better. We've had key guys out. They still fought through it, and it's still competed. That was my biggest concern, especially going into last week. I thought Shelby was a great team. I was worried about how we were going to compete and play. And I thought, defensively, I thought we played well. I thought at times offensively we did some good stuff, especially without Dez last week. I had a sophomore step up. And think about it, early on he made a couple mistakes, and some of our senior linemen were like, come on, we got your back, you got this, and he fought through it. He had a couple big runs, so we were proud of him, and that says a lot about our guys up front on both sides of the ball. They're senior heavy on both sides, and those are guys that have been leading us, and they've gotten better each game.
Coach Webb, coming off a much needed win for your team, 2-4 overall. Have you noticed maybe a little more pep in the step at practice this week after that win?
Oh, yeah, it was good to get a win, without a doubt. The pep came from the players. They're excited. I mean, when here we are again. We say it all the time when we play. We're playing another Williamson County school, and so that brings more excitement to the practice field. That brings it more to the game itself. And then with it being Centennial, with each school's got their own little regional part of the county. Ours is Centennial, and it always will be Brentwood as well. And so it changes the attitude of what's happening in practice. Now with the coaches, we got to tackle a little better because we got to teach these guys. We did a very, very poor job last week at tackling. I was really proud of us offensively. Thought we finally were able to run the football and do some things with the inside zone, but which in turn helped open up the passing game. But we just turned around and let a football game that probably shouldn't have been, because of poor tackling, turn into a battle the whole time.
Do you think maybe that had something to do with confidence being down a little bit, losing those 4 games in a row, or do you think it was just maybe mental lapse? Or both, or neither?
I really don't know on this one. This would come across as excuse, but I think every time we have driven over there to that place and played a game, even take it back to when Joe Critchlow was playing quarterback for us, and we played very poorly over there on that field, and so I'm sure that some of it. It was a challenge we talked about. They say you're not supposed to talk about things like that, but I actually talked to our seniors about it. Why don't we accept the challenge? And we actually looked at games where we had played over there and played poorly with probably better teams than we have right now. And so we put that challenge to them. But, that they did what they're supposed to. It's just, I guess it's coming from my standpoint. I was proud of them, excited for them, but we're just better at open field tackling, and it was just kind of poor.
I think it's Coach Webb. I remember whenever we were in high school. I think we played bad whenever we went to McGavin. So I think it's him.
It probably is me.
We're going to get into that relationship, by the way, here in just a little bit. This is a family show, so we'll keep it clean. But let me ask you this. I'll start with Coach Kriesky. How do you control, or do you even mind controlling the emotions of the game, or is that a good thing? Because this is such a big game.
But you they're going to be emotional about it. Last year, I think our kids were too nervous, too uptight. And it showed, especially, I think after that onside kick, I think we just completely fell apart. Knowing it was a Franklin game, how big it was, and we could never overcome it. So I think our emotions got the worst of us last year. So yeah, you gotta, you hate to say it, but you want to treat it like any other game, but it's not any other game. One, playoffs, two is Franklin. It's a huge game. There's a lot of alumni that's contacted either myself or Coach Boffman that's coming to the game that this is a big game, and the kids know it's a big game. So yeah, you try to control it and not get them too worked up, because they still it's high school football, and they still just got to go out and execute.
Coach, how do you deal with those emotions there at Franklin?
Exact same thing, and Matt brought up that we thought we'd have a chance of getting that thing last year, and we were real excited. I was afraid we'd kick it into the stands, and it did. It fell our way, but the emotions there rode with us. I agree with Coach all the way on that. One of the hard part is being too overly excited, because that stuff wears off, and then all of a sudden, practice this week has been, I know it's on all of us, but gosh dog, it's 98 degrees in October. And so we can't let all that emotion on us all of a sudden wear down and tear you down, because of what we've gone through in the week of the heat. And then I'll even say Tuesday after practice, stopped at Daly's, got a Diet Coke, and there was 2 Franklin football players. We'll be there Friday, Coach. So he's exactly right.
Coach Kriesky, and you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but when you're talking about playing Franklin, do you focus more on the, hey, it is another game, it counts the same, or do you try to rev it up saying, yes, it's Franklin, we're going to see who the Kings of Franklin are this year? What do you do with that? Or is it a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. Like you said, it's, my first year when I was at Centennial, we wasn't in the same region, so that was different. Now we're in the same region, so it's not only the battle of Franklin, but it's huge, like you mentioned earlier. It's huge for a playoff spot. So it's a big game in a lot of ways, and so you try to not, I guess, not too much, but then again, you can't hide from it.
Coach Webb, let me ask you this. Obviously, this is not the case, and we're all happy it's not the case. But if both teams were somehow 0-6 and no chance for the playoffs, would it still be hyped up?
Yes, because of the way the student bodies are. I think that's where it also. We have to go to practice and do our work all week, and they're the ones running around on Twitter all week, or whatever they use now. It's Insta something.
Well, that's Coach Blade.
So, that part of it. And I said this when I was when we were the Independence Week. It's these in-county games. And they're fun. That's why people want to come here to coach. That's why kids want to come here to play, and they really are fun. It'll be awesome tonight.
Coach Webb, but actually for both of you, I'll start with Coach Webb. You guys obviously have a little history together. You coached Coach Kriesky in high school, and I know that really because I've coached against former coaches, assistant coaches, but never a former player. It has to make you want to win probably even a little bit more, but at the same time, you have to be pretty proud of Coach Kriesky doing what he's doing.
Without a doubt, especially pretty proud to go through what he did with me. And I remember that first game, that was the onside kick, and score. I remember texting him because we always text him and his brother Will. I think it's cool that they wanted to go into coaching. We've got one on our team right now, Jet Wilson, and he will flat tell you he wants to be a football coach, and I think it's awesome. That's what he wants to do, and that's what Matt and Will always talked about they wanted to do. When I remember it like it was yesterday, texting you, going, man, this one's hard because I'm happy for you. I want to tell you good luck, congratulations, but because that was a game that we felt like we won, and then we didn't. It was. But so that part of it, yes, I think it's awesome.
Coach Kriesky, I will not ask about any Coach Webb stories here on air, but let me ask you this, and I think I could answer this, but I want you to. What about your coaching style have you taken from your days playing for Coach Webb?
Well, as you can see, both me and my brother, we're both, I guess you can say we're defensive guys, and I say, me and him, we've talked about that before. Well, I think we've got that from him because whenever, I know at times in Henry County he had to move the offensive side of the ball. We won't get into that. But he was a defensive-minded guy.
I do want to hear about that later, by the way.
I mean, if we were below average, and we always played, I thought, well on defense. I remember games, that we lost, it was a 9-3 game, and we were always so close. Maybe because he had to spend so much time on the offensive side of the ball. But, I think, whenever we got out, we knew we were going to coach, and we wanted to be defense guys because we absolutely love this guy. We have so much respect for him, and be honest, we want to be like Coach Webb because we knew how he was and how he coached, and our relationship with him growing up, even after we graduated high school.
Coach Webb, that's got to be great to hear. Doesn't make you any less want to kick his butt tonight, does it?
No, that part, it's awesome because we went, which is why high school football is still, it's the greatest thing going. I'm sorry, basketball guy over there. It is because the practice to game ratio. There's no other sport like it, and there's nothing about football that's instant gratification.
Yeah.
And because I can tell you that two of us here went through some hard times too that I didn't do a very good job, and I think maybe I'm not. I think I'm actually a better football coach because of him as a player. Things I wished I'd have done different here and done different then, and maybe it's not even a football coach. It's a relationship, which is teaching and coaching.
That's great. That's great to hear. All right, let's talk about the history of this rivalry. Obviously, you guys weren't always part of this, but I want to give the viewers some background here. Dates back to '97. Franklin, which was obviously the established school opening in 1910, won the first 15 meetings. Since 2012, Centennial holds a series lead 4-3. Coach Kriesky, you're 2-1 in this series. Coach Webb, 3-4 in the series. Franklin did break a 3-game winning streak for Centennial last year with a 28-14 win. So I do think that this is unique because it's a heated rivalry, and it might be easier if you didn't get along with the guy that's across the field from you. I think that always makes it easier. But you have to have really some odd mixed emotions. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but talk about that more, Coach Kriesky.
Yeah, I mean,
Or when the game starts, is that you don't worry about that?
No, you just get into the game. But I mean, I know if it ever got out of hand and they were winning big, I know he would make sure it doesn't get too crazy because I mean that's just it's more than just about football for us. Like you said, we hate it because this game means so much to both teams, and it is what it is. But we're both, whatever happens tonight, we'll both get through it. He's going to be there for me no matter what. I've been some low points in my career, and he's been right there checking on me, making sure that I'm all right and everything's good. When we kick off, we're not going to think about it, but as soon as that game ends, we're going to go back to who we were and what we're about.
Okay, enough of the niceties. Let's talk about the game tonight now. So let's talk offense here. And Coach Webb, I'll start with you. No pun intended. The guy for you has been Guy Lipscomb. You can't talk about really Franklin football in general this year, but definitely on the offensive end without talking about Guy Lipscomb. Talk about what he's meant to you guys offensively.
Unbelievable competitor, and he's a good athlete. I think a lot of times as coaches we say, man, we wouldn't trade this kid, or we would trade this kid. I think everybody that we play would say, I wish number 2 was on our team, and I say that as a compliment to him, Gosh, when we had him at quarter, he's such a competitor. He had him at quarterback. He hands the ball off, and he goes to try to hit somebody to let the other guy run the football. So it's not about him. That's the point I'm saying. He's not a me guy. He's a team guy. He wants to do what's best. And him and Coach Holcomb have a great. Coach Holcomb calls our offense, and they have a great relationship. And now, basically, with him getting moving the running back and putting Josh back at quarterback, it has opened us up some more. We feel like we can spread the defense out a little bit better than what we could when he was just had the ball in his hand immediately.
And he's going to play baseball at Belmont, right?
Yes, sir.
So obviously a great athlete.
He's got a because how baseball scholarships are broken up. He's got a fairly high one. I don't want to sit here and say exactly what percentage he's got, but it's pretty good. He's a good player.
Yeah, which is impressive. Mm-hmm. And then moving Nichols to quarterback. Talk about going back to that, how that has. You said it has spread the defense out a little bit more, putting Nichols back there. Talk about your thought process when you made that change, because last time we talked, you were getting ready to play Independence. Obviously, you didn't give it up the day we talked in here, but now that the cat's out of the bag, so to speak, talk about that move, putting Nichols back at quarterback.
From the get-go, it was all we knew. We had to get Guy the football. I thought the best way. We've always been good at option. Option football is what's made us. Even that when we were back in that 10-3 year, and people were probably getting bored of the 17-play drives because we weren't scoring touchdowns over the top throwing the football. It was the option that the defensive coaches in this district would tell you they were glad we left, mm-hmm. because I used to watch it in practice from the defensive side. Like, gosh, dog, all this misdirection and all this movement. And so I was forcing the option last year, and then we knew we had to get Guy the ball, and so we trying to get the option back in. That's why we started it that way, and. We look at the defense, and to be honest, it was the Summit game when Summit's sitting there, their quarterback players are literally standing on the line of scrimmage just waiting for a guy. We said, wait a minute, we got to look at this thing, and that's where it came from.
Coach, if somebody doesn't understand what you're doing and you're 10-3, that's why those people don't and shouldn't coach.
We had good players, and we were and another part of it was that we forget as coach, we were handing it off to Mitch Rossi, who was a 220-pound back.
You'd like to have him back, wouldn't you?
Yes, and now it's a lot different. And so we couldn't get all three of the aspects of the option going. So we thought it'd be best to bring the RPO back and basically do option football that way instead of pitching it back.
Right. Coach Kriesky, you can't really talk about Centennial football without talking about Marcel and Desmond Smith. And also, and you brought this up earlier before we came on air, talk about that offensive line, what they've meant to your team.
They're majority seniors. They're the heart of our team. They hard workers. They'll do anything. We got Trevor Anderson is up there, Sam Holloway, Cameron Salerzo. We're not the biggest guys, but those guys have worked hard. 4 years I've been there, done everything we've asked them to do. Trevor, pretty much, he should be a tight end, H-back. We got to play an offensive line because that's where we need him. He's never said a word. He's done everything that we've asked him to do. And, as long as they're playing well, we're going to be all right. So Grayson has done well for us this year. He's just, it's a little bit different. We don't have those guys at receivers we had at last year, so he's able. It's not all on him throwing and catching. He's fortunate. We've got tailback Desmond Smith. Handing him the balls. we were lucky to get him last year when he moved in. We thought when we were going to lose Darrin, we weren't going to have somebody like that. And to get a guy like that, he's a great kid, very soft-spoken. He doesn't say much. Desmond's just going to just smile. Doesn't say 2 words. But he's been banged up a little bit. We expect him to have a good game tonight. If we're going to have a chance to win this game, our line's got to play well, and Desmond's going to have to play well.
And in football, you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but Coach Kriesky, you answer this since you were talking about the O-line. That's really probably the most selfless and unselfish group in football, right? Nobody talks about the offensive line.
You're correct, and they're the guys that probably, to be honest with you, probably going to work the hardest on the team. They're doing the dirty work each and every day, and not getting any credit, not getting any glory for it.
Coach, you agree with that?
Without a doubt, and even more so is in high school football, there's still those linemen that are 6 foot, 6'1", 215, 20 pounds. They're not got all the stars by their names, and you're watching film, and they're the best one there.
Now, some of those guys want to catch the ball too, though, right?
Oh, they would love to.
All right, let's talk defense here. Coach Kriesky, you've talked about this. Your defense has really been a group that's really improved. You gave up 45 points at Independence, and since then, you've allowed 11 points per game, and it's not like you've played chopped liver here. Shelbyville's team last week, they're known for what they do offensively. In fact, coming into your game, they were averaging 32 points a game. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes.
And then they scored 20 against you guys. Talk about the improvement of the defense.
Well, I like to say one of those touchdowns was an a fumble return.
Right.
So I had to tell the defense they were a little upset, but they gave up 14 points last week. We're figuring it out. We've had some new guys defensively, and they're finally figuring out their fits and exactly where they're supposed to be. And on each play, we're probably stunting a little bit more this year than we have in previous years. It's just because, again, we got smaller guys. We're not big, but they're actually finally, I know it's game 6, but they're actually understanding where they need to be each and every play. And so now you've seen it the past 3 games, and after they done it, after we did it, Siegel, it started clicking, and then Dixon. Then finally, I thought defensively, Shelby was probably our best game that we've played all year. Coach Palmer, he came to me after the game. He said, I just knew we could score 35 points on y'all. He said, you've got to be proud. I know you came up on the wrong end of the deal. He said, but you've got to be proud of your guys, and we were. And it's talk about defense. Our offense guys play just as hard. We don't have, especially with Des being out there, we didn't have a big play guy. Josh Forsey, if he would have got it in instead of getting tackled, inside the 10 2 times, it could have easily been a different ball game. But it is what it is. We got to move forward and build on that, and build on the past 3 weeks, and these next couple of games.
Coach Webb, you talked about your defense needing to improve. Now, you're obviously going to be pretty critical because you're a defensive guy. Surely not to make an excuse for your guys, but some of the teams you've played have had something to do with that.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it's we've played some pretty good football teams, and then the critical part, like I said last week, was tackling. I mean, I know they had a couple of good athletes, but we're also still trying to understand. If we're slanting this way, we got to have a safety fit here, and we had some last week. We'd slant right and have the safety go right. And so, we were a gap short, and then all of a sudden he pops out with the ball, and now we got to tackle him in open field. And so that's what we've been working on this week, without a doubt, because, Desmond, he can take it to the house on us right now, and, we've got to be able to tackle him.
Last week's game, obviously we mentioned Centennial, 17, Shelbyville 20. That was a homecoming game for Centennial. And, Coach, something we didn't mention, not to bring up bad memories, but it just shows what a great chance you had. You talked about the fumble. And then also there in the fourth quarter, there was a fumbled snap on a field goal that you probably would have made.
Yeah, and so, again, I told the kids, I guess we should have, as coaches, we always second guess ourselves. I guess we should have went for it, but I felt at that time our defense was playing well. I figured we'd get the 3 points, defense stopping, and then have a chance to score. But, it is what it is. Again, you just have to move on. We had our opportunities and just didn't capitalize on them last week.
Coach, we talked about Guy Lipscomb earlier, 11 carries, 168 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, also 2 receptions for 8 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, Centennial will be focused on him tonight. Josh Nichols, and when I looked at his stats, to me, the thing that probably stood out to me, and maybe to you too, is he didn't have an interception.
Oh, yes, and here's the thing that Josh is really, really good at. He put us in the right play.
Yeah.
And that's where experience, being on the field, playing the quarterback position, he helps us so much more now, with the checks and getting us in the, if we want to run what we call Packers and, inside zone, if we want to run into the 3 technique this week, he'll get us there right. And he'll get us at least gives us an attempt to be going the right way we want to go.
Well, that's got to give you and the team confidence too. All right, so I hope we get to our keys tonight, but I did want to ask one more question that was not a totally football question. So as many of you out there may know, at one time, Coach Webb's wife, Lee, was the principal at Centennial. Mm-hmm. So how did that go? Did she was she obviously rooting for Centennial, not talk to you that week, or what would happen?
She was all Centennial. My first year, she was all Centennial.
She still is.
Oh, she's still.
No, she just loves that school, and she's so. I'm bragging on my wife, but she's awesome for education.
Yes, she is. I can attest to that.
And she loves kids, and so. She will be at the game. I think I'll have her in maroon tonight.
So what were those conversations with Dr. Webb back in those days?
She used to tell me just take it easy on it. Take it easy on it. I want to win, but take it easy on it.
All right, let's do one key. It could be offense or defense. One key, if you said tonight, Coach Kriesky, here's one key for Centennial being successful, what would that be?
Our quarterback and receivers are going to have to play well, and not put it all on Desmond Smith.
Coach?
Tackle. It's how many missed tackles we have that takes him to the second level.
Gentlemen, looking forward to it. Tonight we'll have game day there. I know you guys will come up for an interview. Hopefully Coach Webb won't break the table as he's done the last couple of years. But I do appreciate you taking time because I know you're very busy. We'll see you next time on the Coach's Preview Show.